a price point that could go much higher, but we're limited because of the comp. Is there a opportunity for the cost approach analysis to come into play? Specifically, when you're looking in a community where you have homes that are over $1 million, when you go, you just gave an example of where you live. You said that you could go a 3-block radius and go from 800,000 up to 3 million. I can't tell you that in Prince George's County because we seem to have a glass ceiling at about 1.5, where we clearly have homes that are valued, if you go to Montgomery County or right to your neighborhood, could easily sell for 3 or 4 million.
That's an excellent question. We don't get involved in appraisal methodology, which is what I would call that, the 3 approaches to value. So I'm going to defer perhaps to our appraiser on the panel here, Jim Park, as far as the cost approach here. But that's outside of our value.
Yeah, I'll take a shot at that. There is a bit of a conundrum there in terms of the sales comparison approach, and as I mentioned, you know, the impacts of how redlining have impacted comparables over the years, and impacted them in a way to keep the values from appreciating the way they have in other areas. Appraisers are not doing appraisals in a vacuum. There is a form, I'm sure you're probably all very familiar with the forms and so forth, but a lot of appraisal practice is effectively dictated to appraisers by the GSEs, FHA, and VA, and lenders. And most of them, again, going back to this issue around trying to get appraisals as cheaply and quickly as possible, a lot of the lenders don't want to see, and the GSEs, frankly, don't require the cost approach, don't require the income approach. There's 3 approaches to value. The sales comparison, cost approach, and income approach. And rarely do you see anything more than just a sales comparison approach on an appraisal these days. And there are cases, in my opinion, where the cost approach, or maybe more frequently the income approach, could be used in an appraisal. But the secondary market lenders are not going to let you base your final conclusion on that income approach. So if you're in a college town and 3/4 of the properties around the school are rental properties, you're likely still going to see the appraisers just use the sales comparison approach, even if the income approach might indicate a higher value. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind, whether you use the cost approach, the income approach, or the sales comparison approach, all 3 approaches are rooted, at least to some degree, in market value, in sales. So if you're using the cost approach, you still got to find sales. There's other ways to do this, but the best way is to find land sales, vacant land sales. So getting away from the market is going to be a task, but I don't think it's one we should shy away from. Maybe appraisals shouldn't be just based on, maybe the whole idea of having 1 point value be such a huge determinant of somebody's financial future, and we need to think about whether that's really appropriate. Maybe appraisals ought to be more akin to some type of collateral risk analysis, where you're looking at the potential for property values to increase or decrease, and all kinds of other risks that appraisers take in a lot of. I've heard Dave say this several times, that appraisers take in a lot of information during the appraisal process that they never really use, because nobody asks them for that information. They don't, it's not of interest.
Thank you so much.